variant.
Call to order the Ashland Board of Commissioners meeting for Thursday, January 12, 2023. We'll start with an invocation and then Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Lord, we thank you for our city, Ashland, Kentucky. And today we invite the Holy Spirit into our meeting, and we ask for your divine wisdom and guidance on this Board of Mayor and Commissioners as we strive to make the right decisions on behalf of our city and its citizens. We thank you for our success as we reflect on the past year, and we ask you for your blessing and favor as we start 2023. Bless our city manager, our staff and employees, and those in attendance today. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Let's stand and salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Wirtz. We have a motion to receive and file the agenda.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We have a motion to receive and file the minutes for the regular meeting held on December 15, 2022, and the recess meeting held on December 19, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Hearings and reports. Commissioners, if you'll let me start. First off, welcome everybody. Really glad that you're all here for our first meeting in 2023. We like to start out doing things that are a little bit fun, and especially to start the year out that way. And I don't think of any other way that could be more fitting than to recognize some citizens that have gone above and beyond the call of duty. If Carly Conley-Thomas and Haley Shelton would stand up for us, please, come forward. You two are an inspiration to this board and to our city. We are thrilled with what you've been able to do with the market project that you all have set up. You know, everything can't be done by government alone. We are inspired by our citizens to do more and to raise the bar, if you will, and you all continue to inspire us to do just that. With that, the commission would like to honor both of you all with a citizen ambassador declaration for each of you, of which you have already been so much for us already, and we're so proud of you and thank you. If you want to come forward, we'll get a picture with our commission. Everybody? Sure. These, Carly, this is yours.
I'll stay up here. Stay up there to do this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Josh, go back.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate you so much. And if our commission will stay up here, we'll get sworn in. Jim, are you ready?
Yes, I am. Always.
Josh, over this way. Oh, yep.
Sorry, he has to put his coat on.
Oh,
Yeah, fancy. He has to be a fancy guy.
how's that exciting?
All right. Having been previously formally sworn, would you raise your right hand? Do each of you swear that you will truly discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner of the City of Ashland, Kentucky, according to the best of your skill and judgment, and you will not knowingly or willingly commit any malfeasance of office, and will faithfully execute the duties of your office without favor, affection, or partiality, so help you God? You're sworn.
We didn't have time.
No duel this time.
You formally signed the duels before.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to our commissioners. Commissioner Clark?
Thank you, sir. Real quick, just want to we had a Housing Authority Board meeting on Tuesday, just to give the commission an update on that. The Ashland Housing Authority is at 90% occupancy, and there are 136 people on a waiting list at Scope Towers and 99 at DeBoard Terrace, so the waiting list is still pretty large. And the Housing Authority is getting ready to embark on a renovation project at DeBoard Hill that will go on for several years. Each of the buildings will get an exterior renovation. So I just wanted to update you on those. And the only other thing that I have, Gravy Bowl is coming up on February the 11th. Brandy is here and she's going to talk a little bit more about it when she speaks, but just wanted to put that date on your calendar.
Thank you.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanton?
Yeah, so Happy New Year, everyone. Very excited to be back with everyone here. Just want to mention a couple of things. Just want to say thank you to our citizen boards. I attended a code enforcement board meeting, but we've all seen the other citizen boards, and we really appreciate them for their service. It's volunteer service. It's not always easy, and it's just another way for citizens to have a say in the government. So we appreciate them and appreciate our code enforcement team. It's that meeting they did what they had to do, but they had compassion for the citizens as well and tried to help them with the issues they were having. I'm very proud of them. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is coming up. We're having our event on Monday at the train station. It's the Boyd NAACP has that event. Directly following that event, there will be an event at the Highlands Museum as well. So come out and join us for that. And wanted to say thank you to all of our city employees. I've learned it's not just one group usually. With things like cold weather issues, it affects all of our employees, and they all have to do their respective jobs in tough conditions. Obviously, our water distribution team that has to deal with the line breaks and all that comes with that, but all of our team that has to deal with increased challenges during the cold weather. It's a new year, and hopefully we're all rested up, but because I know that we're all excited about getting into a new term and looking at, not everything's going to be easy. We're going to have challenges for sure. I got one right there. But it's going to be, but I know this team, we've proven we're up to it, and we're very excited to work for the citizens again. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Spriggs?
I want to say how great it is to see everybody here today. Made it through Christmas and New Year's intact, and we're back in the saddle and ready to go. I also want to just comment on the Maker's Market. It's just so great that this is the power of having an idea. Somebody just has to have an idea, and then look what a success it is. And so if you've got an idea about anything, here's the person to make things happen right down here on the front row. It's just wonderful to see citizens come up and be a part of the wonderful things that are happening in our city. I also want to say that January 9th was National Police Officers Appreciation Day, and I think I can speak for our entire board when we say we appreciate our police officers every day. Marty just had a close encounter coming here, so so kudos to the good work that our police officers do, and we wish them all kinds of safety and goodwill out there. We really appreciate them. And then I'll have some further comments as we go into the meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome back.
Commissioner Goode?
Welcome to our first meeting of 2023. I feel truly blessed to be here with all of my colleagues here, and we've coined the phrase Commission of Action. And this is I'll start my 15th year, my 8th term, and none ever before has been this cooperative of a commission that I've been with, I've served with, that has got a lot accomplished. When I got here this morning, City of Ashland 2022 accomplishments, And there's some copies for you all right here. It is astonishing what has been accomplished by our city in the past year. And I want to give thanks to our staff back there and our employees. They're our backbone of the city, and that they make things go. And I just am thankful to be able to serve another term and start off 2020. We have a lot to be thankful for and a lot going on that we're going to accomplish this year.
Yes.
And so I'm very, very thankful. I just want to say welcome to Michelle Dickens. She's our new HR director, and she's a great addition to our staff. And I went to 2 ribbon cuttings. I always hit the restaurants, okay? That's kind of my calling card. But Giovanni's out there, and it's beyond the city limits, but
Did you get a passport to get out there?
yeah, need a passport. And you don't want to wear maroon or they'll shoot at you, you know. Anyway, it's a great place. They got 22 TVs. You know, I always wondered, you know, when I ate Giovanni's down here, I'm looking for a TV to watch a game. Now I don't have to go home. I can watch Giovanni, you know, eat Giovanni's
Now
and
you don't
watch a
have to
game.
get it to go, right?
Exactly. And then a genius move, the Coffee Dock has a new place there in the YMCA. 10,000 members of the YMCA. Think about the foot traffic there. And so that was a genius move, and I went to their ribbon cutting out there. And so I'm very, very thankful. That's all I have, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, I have one more thing I forgot.
Sure.
If I could do that. You may have read in the paper about Boyd Court declaring alcohol sales available for 24/7, open all night kind of thing. Can you,
Well,
our legal eagle, tell us how that would affect Ashland?
it has no effect on us. The city, to operate in the city, you have to have a license from the state and a license from the city. And the power for the city to issue that license includes the power to set the hours within the confines of state law. So that will apply to license holders outside of the city limits, but inside the city limits, the hours will still be as have been set by this commission.
Thank you.
Okay.
Before I quit, I want to give thanks to the police department and for our fire department. I was coming out of McDonald's just a few minutes ago and had a hash brown hanging out the side of my mouth, but a lady came head on toward me. She was heading right toward me and my wife, and veered off and hit a pole right in front of Bill Cole going about 60 miles an hour.
My heavens.
And we went over there and jumped out of the car, and my wife went over to her, and luckily she's alive. And so I don't know if it was a medical emergency or something, but I wanted to say that the police were right there. They were right there in a matter of seconds, and the fire department right shortly afterwards. And so I'm thankful for the fast response of our staff.
All right. We're going to move on to our city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Goot, thanks for bringing that out. And if you all are familiar, they have those responses almost every night. They had a particularly tragic one this weekend, both fire and APD, and just very, very professional. I'd also like to reiterate, Michelle, if you would stand up. Michelle, as Commissioner Goot said, she's been with us, brand new to the team, been with us a little bit less than 2 weeks. Is just getting her sea legs underneath her and is meeting with the rest of the staff. We're really glad to have you join us, Michelle. Also like to point out, Jim Dooley, are you here? This bearded man may look familiar to you. He is the new ABC administrator. He just came on board in about the same amount of time. If Jim does look familiar to you, he spent 27 years with the Ashland Police Department. So he comes to us with similar good bona fides as Michelle does. So welcome to the team, both of you. A couple of things I wanted to give a little bit more depth to that you're going to see in the agenda today. One, demolition information. There's 2 properties that are on the consent and new business for demolition. You remember we did 66 properties last year. Mayor and Commissioners, we currently have 15 to 20 properties that are currently planned for demolition, and you all know that process, so that number moves a little bit to the left and the right occasionally. Also, we had a Facebook post this week in regards to satellite water leak detection. Crews are out in the city of Ashland. They're working with, these are crews from the San Diego-based company that are working with the city crews. So far, they found numerous leaks, a lot of them that are on service leaks, but also numerous mainline leaks. And again, the whole point of this is try to reduce our water loss. The start point.
Excuse me, is that treated water we're losing?
It is.
Yeah.
That is. So this is, it was initiated with satellite imagery that has been used across the world to find leaks that we just can't, other communities can't find, nor can we. So that's the purpose of doing that. If you would, next slide. There's always questions about things that are going on. I wanted to highlight the Public Services built the sign for the World War II Veterans Wall. Hand it over to Commissioner Spriggs for any comments.
Well, as most of you know, this is a long-term project by the Rotary Club of Ashland, and we've had a few hurdles and bumps in the road, including COVID. But now we're ready to go, and I want to thank David Young for donating the sign, and the city Jack's department for putting it up. Is it up yet? I mean, it was going to be Friday. Oh, great. Okay, I'll run by and look at it. So you got it in a day before. So I'm so appreciative of this, and it's been a long time coming, like 6 or 7 years we started working on this, but it's a wall that will have 6,700 names of heroes who left from Boyd County to fight in World War II. Replicating a wall that was at Carter and 13th, where the old post office is now. So you will see more on this in days to come as we ramp back up, and I now have an engineering firm that's going to help us with it. So thanks to the city as well. We appreciate partnering with the city on getting this done and honoring our heroes.
Thank you, Commissioner. If you could go to the next slide, please, Erica. Also, if you're curious on what's going on at the corner of 39th and Belmont, a citizen had requested us to look at this drop-off, and if you've driven by this, you might not notice how steep this is. Citizen had requested we put guardrails in. Guardrails are extremely expensive. And as a matter of fact, I don't think, Mr. Hunter, you're even able to get a quote right now with all the supply chain issues. But you'll see they put in these bollards, and also on the right-hand picture, you'll see they fabricated a fence line that protects people if somehow they slipped off that sidewalk. This picture doesn't do the justice to the drop-off that's out there. So thanks to the citizen for reporting that to us, and also to the Streets Department. There's a possibility when you're coming down Belmont Street, and this has happened once or twice according to Chief of Police, vehicles will go over that, and if somebody's down there, they could get injured, et cetera. So again, just a good effort by the team I wanted to highlight. The next topic is the Entertainment Destination Center. You do, Mayor and Commissioners, you see that as a new business item, and I wanted Corporation Counsel just to briefly go through a couple slides to provide some background on this for both you all and the public.
Okay. As you know, by previous action, the Commission has enacted the enabling legislation for the Entertainment Destination Center license for Ashland, and it's been issued. The EDC, the physical diameter is as shown on that slide. It's basically from 13th Street to 18th Street, and from the south side of Greenup Avenue to the south side of Carter Avenue. And what this will mean is during events located within that geographical area that are issued a special event permit by the City of Ashland, that the licensees for alcoholic beverage sales within those districts will be able to operate under the EDC rules. And those are on here for your consideration and approval, but basically it means that if you are selling out of one of these licensees a alcoholic beverage in a cup approved by the city, the people will be able to go out of the licensee into the common areas, which would be the sidewalks and the streets within the designated area, with their drink in that approved cup, and they would also be able to go from one licensee to another during the event. The rules are basically just pretty common sense. You have to only have alcohol purchased from a licensed vendor in those cups. Can't bring your own alcohol in. You can't go out of the EDC with the alcohol. The boundaries of the EDC will be marked by signage, and I think the signage will, I don't even know the proper terms, but we'll have one of those little, what I like to call doodads, where you can shoot it with your phone and it'll show you these rules.
A QR code?
I'm not sure if that's the technical term or not, but
That's the over 70 term for Q code.
Commissioner Spriggs knows what I'm talking about. She knows when I say a doodad, what we mean.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So those cups will definitely be approved by the city. They won't be, you're not to reuse them. Again, all geared towards making sure nobody abuses the system by bringing other alcohol in there. And during these events, all other statutes and ordinances relating to alcohol remain full force and effect. So it's not a license to get drunk. It's not a license for public intoxication. It's not a license for disorderly conduct. Any and all those things would still be enforced. And if you did bring alcohol in one of these cups, if you're operating under these EDC rules, the open carry statute's not applicable, but the open carry statute would be applicable as well. If you brought in your own little flask and poured it into the cup, you'd be subject to arrest for that. So basically, this is just to encourage economic development at our events and to allow those who want to do that to be able to have an alcoholic beverage at the event, and to take some of the difficulty of obtaining the temporary licenses off the
Yes,
our civic organizations, and that we're trying to go forward with this.
that's great.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you for your work on this.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Oh, the one thing I forgot to mention, that which would relate to Brandy's organization and others, the licensee, if they obtain a supplemental bar license, will be able to go out into the event and have a location out there during the event where they'll be selling alcoholic beverages.
All right, thanks, Mr. Moore. Next, please. Okay, I'm going to read this, if you bear with me. Picture of our chief. The Kentucky League of Cities Law Enforcement Safety and Liability Review is conducted every 2 to 3 years by a KLC senior law enforcement consultant. The review examines 61 practices falling into 13 major department categories based on industry recommendations, best practices. The recommended best practices target enhancement in officer safety and liability reduction procedures. Each practice is individually scored during the review process to arrive at a total score. A total score can range from an average, which carries a 0% credit, to excellent, with 100% being the maximum achieved. An excellent rating carries a 12% premium credit. The review for this policy period resulted in a score of 100% for a 12% premium credit that will be applied to the July renewal. The credit at renewal in 2022 amounted to a little bit over $11,000 reduction in premium for the law enforcement policy. We will not know what this amount will be in 2023 until the renewal pricing is determined. The department has now achieved a 100% liability score on each of the last 4 reviews conducted. The person presenting the plaque to Chief Kelly is Kentucky League of Cities Senior Law Enforcement Consultant Brian Nunn. So, round of applause for.
Congratulations.
This was their first award that looks like this. The rest of them have been like, paper certificates, but
Nice.
Very nice.
Yep.
very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
I always like to point out, we always encourage the staff to look for competitions in areas that we can continue to measure ourselves and get better. And this is a good example of something that's been done here for years and we're continuing to do. I'd like to move into the, as was briefed a few minutes ago, we do normally cover the 2022 accomplishments. Before I get started, I do believe it was another fantastic year by the city staff. The PowerPoint is a highly brief synopsis. So if you get an opportunity, the handout is 25 pages long. It's like 11 font, and it really puts into perspective what the city does. And again, we're constantly trying to expand this, and what are the things that the city does that we don't always capture, but the handout does a pretty good job. Next slide, please. So I did try to do a pretty quick synopsis. You'll notice things that are bolded are areas that raised this year, and forgive me for reading some of this, but significant for the Ashland Fire Department. They had 2,029 incidents, which is slightly below what they tackled last year. They did pass the Kentucky Fire Commissioner's annual training audit. And as a sub-note, we had nearly 16,000 training hours in the fire department this year. You'll notice for the Ashland Police Department, nearly 25,000 calls, which is a pretty significant jump. Chief, I think that was about 2,000 up, is that right? From last year. Reaccreditation, which is the 4th time since 2009 by the Kentucky Association of Chiefs of Police. Again, not something that's a gimme, that's something that's difficult to earn. And also of note, you'll see a picture on the right-hand side of one of our cruisers down at Floyd County. And as you all remember, that was a very emotional experience for that county that was really benefited from our law enforcement officers being down there and taking the load off them, not only for operational reasons, but it gave them time to grieve. So fantastic work. I know that was emotional for you all, and especially for that department. As you look at the community and economic development, of course, I think the one that jumps out the most was the 66 demolitions. Repair Affair helped 45 citizens, over 200 volunteers this year. Engineering really is best told by a couple of the pictures that are, the before and after on the right-hand side of the slide. Engineering, of course, working on the Winchester Avenue street improvement, also the demolition of 1401 Winchester. You see a before and after there and how great that looks now. For public edification, we are only waiting on some final construction on top of that newly finished wall. There's a cap that needs to go up there. Again, supply chain issues, and the contractor wants to get that up as soon as possible. Mr. Cole, we still think the 15th? So we're hoping on the 15th if they get the material in. In the finance department, I was talking to Tony this morning, Mr. Grubb, excuse me, and you'll notice we were awarded the KFIR certificate for the 15th consecutive year and the Distinguished Budget Award for the 8th consecutive year. And these are pretty much, for the last 3 years, the information we've had on these slides, but finance knows it's a big deal. I'm not sure everybody else does. So Tony was able to gather some statistics for me. Only 13 cities in the entire state of what we think is about 418 cities earned this recognition last year. So that's about 3% that our finance department puts themselves in, not in competition, but in comparison to the rest of the state. And the other thing that I want to point out, the property tax program that was implemented replaced a system that allows online payments and balance inquiries. We used that previous system for over 40 years. So this is another one of those things that it wasn't just, hey, flip the toggle switch and now we're working on it. Yeah, I know we get the lifespan out of everything here, I think.
We got our money's worth.
We got our money's worth. Next. In human resources, you see there managed 290 employees, hired 44, 78 seasonal, and then retired 15 personnel. Another stat that I just couldn't squeeze on the slide was that they received over 1,000 applications for jobs this year, and every one of those gets reviewed to determine who the best candidates are for vacancies here in the city building. So a lot of work through HR. Legal department, you see $290,000 in delinquent taxes and bills. A breakdown's in the handout if you're interested. And then, broadly speaking, crucial legal advice for the acquisition of the garage, the EDC, which Mr. Moore's already discussed, national opioid litigation, and also our trademark, which is not insignificant, and also the wastewater treatment plant easement, which we haven't talked about in quite a while, but there's 3 parties involved with that, and it was
Two
complex
terms.
dealings.
Over 2 terms.
Yeah.
So, great job to Jim, and of course, everybody else that was involved with this. Parks and Recreation is just absolutely impossible to put down, even scratch the surface. Again, if you would look at the amount of activities they had there, the inclusive playground you see, the tennis pickleball courts, I didn't put a picture up of the skateboard park, the sensory garden, and just the activities that they host, which the vast majority go off without any flaws. So, and I think that speaks very deeply to the dedication of that staff and the crew down there to make sure that people's events go off properly. The Public Information Office, again, the details are in the slides, but if you look at our social media presence and how we measure that on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, the increase over the last couple of years has been really dramatic, and it continues to rise, and I know Ms. Bonner is going to continue our upward trajectory. In public services, and again, bolded numbers are increases. 1,120 feet of storm line and leach line was put in. 3,029 potholes patched, 4,221 miles of street sweeping, and 1,100 signs were made this year. The municipal solid waste, that did go down a little bit. That went down by about 100 tons, and I don't have any science to back this up, but remember, we did open up the recycle center this year, which was previously closed. So 631 full bins of recycling, I hope, had that effect. We are still nowhere near, for the public to understand, we're still nowhere near where we were before COVID. We've got capacity down at the recycle center, so I know it took my family and I a little bit to get back into that habit, but please, please, please use the recycling center because we pay for all that tonnage that we take out, the MSW waste that we take out to the county. Also, don't want to dismiss the fact that we remain in the United States Army Corps of Engineer flood wall compliance. You see the exercising of the walls on a regular basis. I've never been more comfortable with where our flood wall team has been since I've been here. Risk management, the department stood up this year. We do have our asset manager and the alcohol ABC administrator underneath Mr. Adkins. And also, we're positively trending on OSHA versus national, I'm drawing a blank, Mr. Adkins, BLS recordables. Thank you, Bureau of Labor and Statistics. And then finally, to sum this all up, the Department of Utilities, 3.4 billion gallons of quality drinking water produced by our water treatment plant. 10,000 feet of main line replacement. If I remember off the top of my head, it was about 5,000 last year. Of course, the biggest stretch of that was Belmont, but still, we've doubled the amount of line replacement, not repair. 232 breaks repaired. Mr. Hall, I think that's just one or two different from the previous year. I think we had 236. Down a little bit. So the good news is, again, we're trying to get those breaks focused on the smaller lines that have less impact on the majority of our community, and the Belmont project is a big part of that. 1.8 billion gallons of wastewater treated, and then you'll see also from wastewater collection 5,290 feet of main replacement. Again, this does not do justice to the entire report. I highly encourage those of you who are interested to pick up a copy. If we run out, let us know, and we will post this also on the website this afternoon. Mayor, that's all I have.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I just want to say, Marty said, we're a commission of action. There's nothing more frustrating than saying we're going to do something and you don't see any movement on it. So we ought to really be called a city of action, because we say, let's go do this, and by golly, it's getting done. And so I want to thank everybody out there for all these good things that we've done, because every department here strives to excellence. And that's the proof right there. So thank you for making us look good.
Commissioner, I wrote these down so I wouldn't forget, so thank you. I don't think the employees near enough. Every employee that's here, the roughly 300, I'd express the same emotions. It doesn't happen without those people in the back of the room and their leadership and their caring for their staff. And you guys do an exceptional job. And again, I know I don't thank you enough, but publicly thank you for a great job in 22, and I look forward to 23.
Just to mention, not to be redundant on what you said, so one metric I always look at the end of each year since I've been here are our business licenses, and we went from 123, I think, to 146, so we had an increase from 21 to 22. That's a testament to our finance team, who has worked hard on that, and also our economic development team. And one of our local business owners who's very important in the city, Christy and Billy Bear, he told me the other day, he said, there's just a better feeling about it. And I said, well, most of the staff has been there. They've always been good at their jobs. They didn't change. They didn't just start getting good at their jobs. I feel like they're getting a bit more support, and I hope that the staff feels the same. So that's something that I'm proud of. Mr. Moore, it's been a pleasure to learn the legal ins and outs of this job, and I've had some friends who were elected to different offices in the area and talked to them. I said, I'm no one to really give you advice at this point, but I would say get to know your city attorney and get to be friends with them if you can, because they, if you've got a good one, it's a very important position. And our city manager, you've done a heck of a job, and you're a great leader. We appreciate you.
That's where I was going. Thank you for the list of accomplishments, but thank you to you for your leadership, for leading the team back there and the rest of the employees, because without you and them and the rest of the employees, none of those things happen. So thank you.
Well, ditto to all that.
Amen.
We're going to move on to public participation. I'm sorry, Kentucky Power has a presentation.
Bob Shartliff is here from Kentucky Power.
Bob, we like when it looks like a big check's involved.
I wanted to come and make a presentation from Kentucky Power concerning the KPEG grant you applied for. It's Kentucky Power Economic Growth Grant. And I applaud you for looking forward and being aggressive and getting people taught about economic development. This will go toward a participation in OUDI, which is the Oklahoma University Institute of Economic Development, which I've graduated from. Amanda has as well, and it's a way to build your city and look to the future and how you can grow in economic development. We're glad to be a part of that. So here's a check if we can.
Get a picture.
Absolutely. I'll stand by a $21,000 check. Commission?
This is to send Eden. I like to get rid of those as soon as I get Eden. So this is Eden, and she's going to OUEDI. So. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Kentucky Power. Moving on to public participation, anyone with a comment or request may come to the podium and address the commission concerning matters related to city business, services, or personnel. Comments related to election issues or concerning personal disputes will not be allowed. Personal attacks, seen or threatening language not be tolerated. Presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Only one speaker is permitted per subject. No action will be taken at this meeting. Those with comments are asked to fill out an inquiry complaint form. Leave it with the city clerk for distribution to the proper city department. Would anyone like to come forward at this time to speak?
I'm here.
Welcome.
Okay, I'm going to give an update since everybody else gave an update. I'm going to give an update on the fun-filled year we had in 2022 in our office in town. We'll start with how people are finding us, and I've got some graphics up here that just shows some of our social media and website analytics. We leverage our social media following and our website to push out information. We have over 18,000 followers on social media, and we had over 5.5 million impressions last year. Through that social media, we're trying to drive people to our website to learn more about what there is to do here. And if you look on the right side of the screen, that's more about our website. We had 80,000 page views last year in comparison to the previous website that had 20,000 views over 13 years.
Wow.
Our new community calendar is quickly becoming the #1 page on our site. At the beginning of the year, the calendar was on the bottom, but when we got our new calendar, it's quickly making its way to the top of the list of top pages hit. You can see that the users are finding us by search, but they're also finding us online by directly typing in our web address. This tells me that we've built a strong brand identity and that people know exactly where to go to find what they're looking for. So if you look at how they're finding us on the website page, search and direct, they're neck and neck. But if you look at the trend for the year, direct is making a beeline to the top. So that's exciting. But the most interesting note is who our audience is for our website. And you can see on the bottom of the screen, the top hits are coming from Kentucky, Virginia, and Ohio. And a lot of people looking from Michigan, Indiana, D.C., and Pennsylvania. It's pretty interesting. But moving on to the fun, this is the fun part. We created a picture-perfect year in 2022 with the help of local business owners, citizen creators, private organizations, nonprofits, and volunteers. In 2022, Ashland was host to over 800 activities and events, which is a major increase from 2021 when we had barely 300. We added 10 Makers Markets and Broadway Nights, in addition to newer events such as Burger Week and Latin Night Live, combined with our long-standing community festivals, as well as events by the Paramount and the Highlands. More business owners and citizen creators stepped up to blow our event season out of the park and make it a summer to truly remember. I believe our organization has taken the Create With Us tagline and expanded it to beyond the artistic connotation, and we've inspired citizens and business owners to create with us the environment and city they want to live in. We will soon be joining forces with Ashland in Motion by supporting each other and working together to navigate the physical changes that are coming to downtown to make our event season better than it ever has been. Our goal for 2023, with everyone's help, is to reach 1,000 activities and events. Commissioner Goot, it's time to get the Food Truck Fridays going.
Amen. Amen. I'm with you, sister.
Okay. Not only do our analytics point to citizen and visitor curiosity and excitement, but people are reaching out to us and asking, what is next? How can we get involved? Excitement and anticipation for our city continues to build, and we are making it our mission to keep fanning that flame. So go to the next. So up next, we've got the Gravy Bowl, which will be at the train depot. Tickets will go on sale shortly, within the next day or two. And it's on February 11th from 10 to 2. And then we've announced our first ever coffee and tea week in March. So that's going to be exciting. We have 8 coffee and tea shops here in Ashland now.
How many?
8.
That's great.
It's very exciting. And we're just getting started.
Great job.
One of the things I would like to say, just in general, I think we talk about the change in tone and how people feel about our community. That solely doesn't reside just with what we're doing here in local government. I think a lot of it has to do with the hard work at the Tourism Bureau, specifically Brandy and Courtney. Both of you all have been stewards for this city and beyond to promote what's going on and what's going good in Ashland, and we can't thank you enough, so appreciate that.
Stellar.
All right, a familiar face at the podium.
Who is that woman?
Ann Perkins, 2603 Cumberland Avenue. I'm the director of Safe Harbor and have been for the last 25-plus years, and 10 years before that as a board member, so I've been around a long time. And I'm here to talk to you and tell you a little bit, because I haven't for a while, about Safe Harbor and our appreciation to the city of Ashland and the services that you all have provided to our clients. We're getting ready to celebrate it is 40 years of being in operation. We're located in the old TB hospital, for those of you that don't know about us. It was abandoned in the early 70s, and in the last 25 years, we have actually spent about $6.5 million in grants received to renovate those properties. We started out with about a 40-bed program in emergency that was the old nurses' dormitory. We expanded that with $1 million renovation about 7 years ago, and we have 60 beds now based on the need in our community. We serve the 5 co-ad districts, so we're not just a City of Ashland only business where we serve the whole ad district. But the majority of our clients actually do come from Boyd County. We have emergency housing, 60 beds. We have a transitional program that is in the old manager's and the director's home, and we did renovations on those buildings in the last 25 years also. CDBG money has been instrumental from the beginning of our program. We were one of the very first programs to ever receive CDBG money in the city of Ashland because we were the most appropriate nonprofit agency at that time, 35 years ago, basically. So we've been utilizing that money for especially things like renovations and repairs. Recently, we've been using that money for utilities. We're a big utility user. We're a great water user. We are very appreciative of the water department and their good work. We are the location for a lot of water leaks over the years, and you all have been really so supportive for us. But also, we depend on the police department. We're probably one of your best customers. We depend on the fire department because we're probably one of their best customers also. We depend on the bus system a lot. You all actually brought the bus system up to our property, and I've said this to you before, but I'm saying it again. I think we're probably still your #1 customer for buying bus tokens and utilizing that service, and it's huge for us. The only thing that I would still request is that we expand those services, because we have 150 men, women, and children living on our property every single day who go to doctor's appointments, who go downtown to shop, who go to work. And they need those services. We have about 7 vans that we transport people, but 7 vans transporting 150 people a day just doesn't work logistically. So the bus system is very, very important to us. In the last 40 years, we're coming on 40 years of being in business, we have housed over 10,000 individuals. Just in shelter only. That's half the population of the city of Ashland. That's a lot of folks. And every year we house about 250 people just in shelter. So that would fill up one of our public schools every single day. We serve a lot of people. We can't do that without the city of Ashland or the other local governments. Most of our budget, we have about a $2.5 million budget. We have 30 employees. We started out with 12. We pay payroll taxes, as Tony and his staff know, which I think is a payback for some of our services that we've depended on you all for. We take care of our own property. We actually have a 99-year lease with the state of Kentucky, and thanks to Governor Patton and Governor Beshear, they've allowed us to utilize that property and maximize it and improve that property. But last year, you all gave us some money, extra money from CDBG, and it was one of the missing links in our program that I think is one of the most important. And we've always done it, but we get people to the hospital, we get people to school, we get people to work. We help people get on Social Security and disability. We help them get their insurance. We help them get housing. We do everything we can to put a family back on their feet. We get them into substance abuse treatment if needed. About 75% of victims will utilize either prescription drugs or illegal drugs as coping mechanism. And if you led some of the lives that they did, you would probably be a user too. So this past year, with your CDBG allotment that you gave us for an extra staff person, just since September, 25 of our emergency clients have been in work placement participants. That means we help them with resumes, we help them search for jobs, we show them how to dress and how to interview. And what we do is we partner with the unemployment office, and we get everybody through the unemployment office signed up. Anybody who is appropriate for Voc Rehab goes to Voc Rehab to get ready, whether it's for a medical reason or maybe a disability reason. So out of those 25 emergency, we have trained 5 people in our transitional program. So this year so far, just since September, we have put 9 people in the job market, and the other 31 people are getting job ready. And I want to thank the City of Ashland for that investment. It is an investment because putting people to work and putting people into self-sufficiency is our goal. And the only way we can do that is with community partners and you all, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for the update.
May I make just a quick comment?
Sure.
Please?
Yeah.
Thank you for that report, and I'll say exactly what I say, like when Mike Maynard's here as well. You know, everyone asks us what we are doing to help the citizens in situations where they may not be able to help themselves, and I think testament to this commission and what we have decided to do with that is put it in the hands of people that can help them most, and I appreciate your work.
Absolutely.
All right. Would anybody else like to come forward at this time? There he is. Another familiar face.
Yes, Mike Maynard, 1819 Eloise Street, Director of Hillcrest Bruce Mission. And yeah, it was interesting when I came in today, I saw the accomplishments, and it's just appropriate to begin the year to start off just to let us know we're on the right foot and doing well. But the mission had an unbelievably great year. And just like as Ann said, it's the partners. I mean, it's the city that helps not just provide CBD funding, but advice and volunteers and all those kind of things. But as I was looking over, I looked, and there was 198 individuals that contributed to the mission this last year. But there were 57 businesses within the city of Ashland that either provided volunteers or monetary compensation or other in-kind compensation that helped us out. 24 churches also stepped up to help out, and then we had 6 different grant organizations that came in beside us. And that's why we're able to do what we do. And it's because of the partnerships, and it's because of the contributions of the community. And really, we become the hub of where people get to help their neighbors. And we just kind of help facilitate that. And so just a few of the things that happened. And we're always careful of the metrics of things, because sometimes doing more of certain things may not be the right metric. And so, we do have a food pantry, and I could tell you about all that. But the biggest thing is that 2,348 boxes of food were delivered to homebound senior citizens.
Wow.
And so even though we have a lot of folks that come in and utilize our food pantry, there's a lot of folks that they can't get to us. They might live at Unity Square, or they might be, homebound or have other physical disabilities or don't have a running car or whatever. And so that keeps someone on the road quite a bit to deliver those. So a couple hundred boxes of food every month going to senior citizens that otherwise wouldn't get food. During Thanksgiving, we had 352 families that received Thanksgiving food boxes from us, and that was a 33% increase from last year.
Wow.
So in all these services, these are non-duplicative services because we partner with all the other agencies that provide food and Thanksgiving boxes and Christmas presents to make sure that we're all serving unique individuals, so it spreads the farthest. During Christmas, 413 children were helped with Christmas presents. And the other thing that's unique with us, 154 senior citizens also got Christmas presents. And so, and all of those folks are adopted by churches, businesses, individuals in our community to buy gifts for those folks. And we become the hub to help those folks get those things. Even coming out of COVID, we were able to start back up a lot of our programs that may have been shuttered for a little bit. But we have a lot of new programs that started this last year. We partnered with Members' Choice and have been providing financial literacy classes. And these are 2-month classes that meet weekly that covers everything from reading your credit report to why I have a bank account to how to budget, all these different things. And so we had 30-plus graduates that came from that course, and our next one starts up in February.
Wow.
We also had 2 people that went through a driver training program with us. We provided folks that didn't have a car and didn't have anybody they could rely on to go practice driving. And so we helped 2 people get their licenses. And this week we just started a driver permit training program to help people get their permits that a lot of those have some learning disabilities or just, it's just hard for them to get it down. So we're helping them with that. We also started a kids karate program. Meets on Tuesday nights. We have 5 to 7-year-olds, and then we have 8 to 17-year-olds. And so both of those classes are full completely. And it's helping. And it's the black belt instructor got introduced to karate at the mission when he was a kid going through after school program. And so now he's back teaching and giving back to the neighborhood he grew up in. We've got HIV and Hep C testing. We've partnered with the health department, and they're coming out every 3 months and doing those testings to make it easier for folks to get tested for that. We have on-site mental health that's coming twice a month into the parking lot of the mission with the Pathways RV and providing those services. So twice a month, folks can get appointments done and talk to folks there. And then we partnered with ACTCS, and they have academic advising that comes every single week to talk to people about getting into college and career paths and what they would like to do. Those are all new things on top of everything else we were already doing. But those were gaps, and people needed those services, and we started doing those. And the biggest thing, just like Ann said, with the jobs and creating self-sufficiency. And so looked at just this year. And so one of the things, most of our people in our program, they come from folks that are on welfare and that do community service. They volunteer to do that, and they come and get placed with us. And we do job training and job skills and a lot of mentorship. That program, it is still not mandatory. The state has still not made that program mandatory. And so we just had a girl interviewed with us on Monday, and on Tuesday, she had decided she was just going to sit home instead of coming out and doing community service. They still get paid, but they don't have no requirements. And so it's sad because they only get 60 months, their whole lifetime, to get those benefits. And those months clock off while they're sitting at home not getting help or networking. And so without that, our numbers in that program, we just don't have the people to mentor. So we went out and found people. And we have a lot of folks that come to just volunteer with us. And out of those volunteers, so we had 14 folks from the KTAP program. We also tapped into 10 people from the Mature Worker Training Program from Community Action. But we had 23 people that were volunteers, just came to volunteer at the mission or came to get their GED or were in some type of alternative sentencing program possibly. That's where we got all of our folks. So 47 folks came into our program this last year. 2 of those were transferred to other sites to continue work and expanding their skill sets. Only out of the 47, only 4 people left the program, quit or were discharged. So out of 41 participants this year, we had 7 people that earned their GED. We had 9 that started college this year out of our program. 2 of those graduated, and both of those had started with our GED program, and have earned it. 4 passed peer support certifications for the state. We're getting ready to lose 3 of those. They've been hired, so we'll lose those. And 32 people were hired out of our program, out of a total of 47 that came in. 32 people with jobs, and we're talking. We hired a couple of those folks, but Vesuvius hired people from our program. KDMC hired people out of our program. Altivia Petrochemicals, Woodland Oaks, Family Scholar House, the Kentucky Detention Center, VA Hospital, Walmart, Smithfield, Tri-State Testing. So this is not just minimum wage jobs that require no skills. These are employers that are looking for people with certain skills, and we've been able to provide those folks to them. Some of the other accomplishments, we've had people that have been on the president's list and on the dean's list at college, so great scholars. 4 of our folks that have come through our program are in management with the companies that they're working for now. And started out single parents on welfare in our program. So a lot of potential in folks. I was talking to someone this morning, and they were talking about that they didn't feel that they were as compassionate as maybe what some of the other folks running agencies were, and they just felt, that maybe, people just need to work harder, just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. And I kind of grew up in that culture. But you soon realize as you start talking to folks that a lot of times it's just the ingredients are missing. And it's not that it's a lack of desire or motivation, they just don't know. And that's really at the mission, that's what we're providing. We provide the modeling and the mentorship and just to let them know how to succeed. They want to. We just need people to help them do that. And a lot of our folks, about 25%, we were looking today, 25% are in long-term recovery. Folks that had struggled with addiction and substance use issues in their past, but have come through agencies and support here in the community and have come through and are 3+ years in recovery and are doing great now. And so, again, the support that we get from the community, it makes all this possible. Makes every bit of this possible. And so thank you for supporting us. Thank you for letting us operate and do the things that we need to do to love our neighbors.
Thank you,
Great
thank you, Mike.
report, man.
Great report, and Mike is also involved in the mayor's homeless and drug task force. And they're making a great headway. I think they're having a lot of people putting their 2 cents worth in on how to help this problem in our city. Thank you, Mike, for all that. That's a truly success story.
There's a volunteer opportunity coming up too. I'll be joining the Shelter of Hope for the homeless count. There'll be a training, and I think it's next week at ACTC, January 17th, I think, at 1:30. And so I will be there to get trained on how to count again.
Can I say something real quick? Just one little thing.
Go ahead.
Okay. So y'all probably heard both of them mention a term, CDBG, Community Development Block Grant, and which is the mechanism for funding for a lot of great things. I had a perception before I started here that, that money came in and it was just given out, and that's just how it goes. It's easy to do, right? Well, I learned from Mr. Pullum and his department that's not the case at all. There's a lot of work, a lot of administering that goes into that program and making sure that it happens. And I'm just going to be blunt when I say a few years ago, there were some folks that didn't always say truthful things, and his staff has had to deal with that. And then imagine, putting a lot of work in to do something that amazingly helps our citizens, and then also have that. Well, I just want to say I appreciate you all for doing that and doing the work that it takes to get that funding. And I think, you've got leaders who fully support you in that, and because you help our citizens. And thank you both for
And
your
I want
words
to
as
say
well.
this, it depends too on having the right people in the right place. I mean, you've got Mike and Ann who have worked really hard and diligently to make these things happen, and it really touches my heart. I mean, there's nothing better than what we can do for our fellow man. So, thank you all.
All right. And just to echo Commissioner Blanton's emphasis on CDBG, I'll be having an opportunity with Jacob in Community Economic Development Department to do a forum at 2 p.m. if we can get through this meeting with Secretary Marcia Fudge, who has graciously allowed a group of us mayors to be on a conference call on how CDBG money does indeed build stronger communities. So with that being said, anybody else have any other? One more. Come on up.
Hello, my name's Charlie Nolan. I just, a couple things I'd mentioned or noticed. Roberts Drive, at night, all the city's deer population, there's a lot of street lights out. And I've called on my street and found out it was the city that had to call to get it, and they were nice enough, power company was nice enough to come out and install it, but I didn't know if anybody had realized that there's probably 8 streetlights out on Roberts Drive.
There's a
Mr. Nolan, I
link on
appreciate-
Kentucky Power site that you can report those as
Okay.
well.
And I appreciate you saying that. I've actually brought that up multiple times, in fact, about some street lights out throughout the community that I have noticed, because I start work at 3 a.m. and I drive through parts of our city, and a lot of those lights are still out. So, but I appreciate you letting us know.
Okay. And then one more thing, if that's
Sure,
okay.
sure.
Does the city have responsibility for the cemetery, Pollard Cemetery? On Whiteburn Avenue?
No.
Ashland Cemetery.
Oh, the family? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All righty. Anybody else would like to come forward? All right. Hearing none.
Go right ahead, Mike.
Mike, you are
You're
permitted to
dismissed.
leave at ease.
You're dismissed.
Awesome.
You're dismissed.
Be safe.
Have a safe journey.
There's gonna be alcohol involved.
Well,
Thanks for
have a
the
D,
warning.
have a DD. All right.
Forevermore.
Okay.
Off the rails.
Jim,
Right.
it's been a good one.
Consent agenda, yes, consent agenda. A resolution of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting, authorizing, and approving the course of action presented by the city manager on the items appearing on the consent agenda for the regular meeting of the Board of City Commissioners of January 12, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And new business, item A, First reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Lights Enterprises, Inc. for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of 3008 Railroad Street in the amount of $3,900 for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item B, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute a contract with Bobby's Mulch for the purchase of all labor, materials, equipment, and services for the demolition and removal of all debris of 1233 Gallagher Drive in the amount of $3,895 for the Department of Community and Economic Development.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just a question, or a request. I appreciate the fiscal note, and I love those. And on all of these, we always get a demolition budget equals and what we had budgeted for the demolition budget. Is it possible to add what is left in that budget so we know where we are and how we've spent that? Thank you.
I mean, it'll be a rough swag, but we can.
And that's fine, just to give us an idea, so we're not spending the budget all the way to, and I know you all wouldn't put it on there if we were, but just to give us an idea of where we are. Thank you. That's all.
How many more properties are on the docket?
15 to 20.
15 to 20? Okay.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 1, final adjusting between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Southern Ohio Trenching and Excavating, Inc., decreasing the amount of the contract for the waterline replacement project Phase 2 Belmont Street in the amount of $203,979.37 for the Department of Engineering.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item D, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and approving change order number 2 between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Wolf Creek Contracting, decreasing the amount of the contract for the Pollard Mills Infrastructure Project Phase 2 in the amount of $11,758.11 for the Department of Engineering.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
Nice to hear some reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed. All in favor?
Aye.
Item E, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement for technical services between the City of Ashland, Kentucky and Strand Associates, Inc. for preparation of the annual 2022 combined sewer overflow reports in the amount of $16,000 for the Department of Utilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item F, first reading and approval of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City of Ashland, Kentucky adopting and enacting supplements S-82, S-83, S-84, and S-85 to the Code of Ordinances of the City of Ashland.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item G, reading and adoption of a municipal order entitled, a municipal order of the City of Ashland adopting the rules governing the City of Ashland Entertainment Destination Center.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item H, reading and adoption of a municipal order entitled, a municipal order of the City of Ashland, Kentucky authorizing and directing the mayor to execute and submit a community funding project request for fiscal year 2024 appropriations for consideration of projects on behalf of the City of Ashland.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item I, the mayor requests the commission's concurrence on the reappointment of Paul Castle to the Ashland Planning Commission for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2027.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item J, the mayor requests the concurrence of the board on the reappointment of B.J. Burcham to the Ashland Planning Commission for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Item
You
K.
almost had it.
Yeah. A little more enthusiasm, please. Item K, the mayor requests the concurrence of the board on the reappointment of Bernard Onan to the Ashland Planning Commission for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item L, the mayor requests the concurrence of the board on the reappointment of Faith Fountain to the Human Rights Commission for a 3-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item M, the mayor requests the board's concurrence on the reappointment of Judy Robinson to the Human Rights Commission for a 3-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item N, the mayor requests the concurrence of the board on the reappointment of Charles Botts to the Human Rights Commission for a 3-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item O, the mayor requests the board's concurrence on the reappointment of Bernice Henry to the Ashland Housing Authority Board for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item P, the mayor requests the board's concurrence on the reappointment of Mark A. Wills to the Ashland Housing Authority Board for a 4-year term retroactive to January 1, 2023, and expiring on January 1, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item Q, the mayor requests the board's concurrence on the reappointment of W. Richard Martin, Jr. to the Boyd County Emergency Ambulance Services Board retroactive to January 3rd, 2020, and for an additional 4-year term retroactive to January 3rd, 2023, expiring on January 3rd, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Item R, mayor requests the board's concurrence on the appointment of Mark McDowell to the Boyd County Emergency Ambulance Services Board for a 4-year term beginning January 12th, 2023, and expiring on January 12th, 2027.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And
We have a motion to go into executive session for
So
pending
moved.
litigation.
So moved.
Second.
Any
Mayor,
discussion?
if we could amend that, it should be potential litigation rather than pending.
Do we have a motion for executive session on potential pending
So
litigation?
moved.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're going to go into executive session, folks. Thank you. returned at 1:30 PM. No action was taken, only the item on the agenda was discussed. Do we have a motion to adjourn
So
or
moved.
recess?
So moved.
What are we doing? Adjourn? Okay.
We're adjourning.
Motion to adjourn.
So
We-
moved.
A second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.